All right. Welcome to another episode of Talking with Kevin and Son and the People You Should Know. This episode is brought to you by RMK Productions and the 10 United Podcast Network. Through the power of our story, our mission is to uplift our voices, share experiences and perspectives using the framework of teaching, learning, and modeling. Our purpose is hope, helping other people every day. This is another episode in a series of 7 where we are showcasing and featuring and talking to presidential candidate Sid McNary. He is the author of The Search for the Perfect Wave. He is a father, he is a husband, and he is a pillar of peace. And he's looking to be the change that we want to see in this country. Now, I called Sid early this morning. I have a full production schedule today. And after reading the news, and I try to stay away from newspaper and then the media and so forth because just kind of upsets my stomach. It's not even worth the paper that I'm kind of wiping on every single day. But there's some issues that are concerning me about our country, our government, and the people in our country. You know, I talk about some of the biggest problems in the world, talk about climate change, talk about poverty, biodiversity, water, education inequality, unemployment, racism, global energy, the food shortages, gender bias, global health, misguided religion, civil rights, our justice system, mental health, talked about the wars, the disregard for human life, the weakened government, and Donald Trump. I ask myself what the world is coming to when I look at media and find out that an individual that is spending just as much time in the courtroom as he is in his bedroom, and sometimes his bedroom ends up in the courtroom. If this had been any other individual on the planet, would he be a nominee or forerunner for any political party? Well, I'm going to tell you, he is by far one of the most successful businessmen that we know. His name is Donald Trump. And so when we look at his successes, he has been married 3 times. 1 to Ivana, failed marriage. 2 to Marla, failed marriage. Now married to Melania, question. He has also been the head of Trump Airlines, failed. He has also been the head of a couple of casinos, Trump Worlds, Trump Plaza, failed. Trump University, failed. Trump Airlines, where he borrowed $245 million in a loan, failed. Trump went to overturn the U.S. government January 6, 2020, was it 23, 22? Oh, that failed too. Had Trump Beverages, partnered with Milton Bradley, loved that company, with a board game called Trump Board, failed. Trump Magazine, failed. Trump Steak, failed. Trump Travel Agency, failed. Trump Towers, failed. And believe it or not, Snoop Dogg and everybody else are successful with this, but he failed at Trump Vodka too. It's amazing how we follow a man that we say is a very successful businessman. And he has more than what I have on here, more than 13 lists of failed companies. Would anyone vote for me if I had failed that many times? We all know that failure is part of life experiences, but does this individual, we want to run our government, we want to handle all the things that I listed earlier that are important to this world, when his last name is not Trump, it's more failure than Trump. But, the reason why I have Sid on here is because I'm not an expert. I'm just a U.S. citizen. I'm someone that cares. I know if I had been in court longer than I've been in my own bedroom, that no one would vote for me. But I question every single day, how come highly educated people are still backing this individual? I question every single day why a political party that claims to be so strong are backing the weakest horse in the race. Is it fear, intimidation? Is it the value of the dollar? I question the fact that the vice president of the United States has been silenced. I question the fact that why we keep voting in our grandparents in order to run our country when we need some fresh blood. That's the reason why I have my brother on here, Sid McNary, a pillar of peace, a calm voice, someone with common sense and a heart that cares about this country, that loves his country. He loves the people of his country, of this country. And he's been very successful in bringing peace and order to the environment, to his community. And he would like to bring that peace and love to this country and balance out some things. So, Sid, welcome to another edition of Talking with Kevin and Son. And thank you again. You're still running for president, and we now got you fired up. I watched you do a live event today, and you were fired up. We needed to see that fire because you've been so calm. They say the calm before the storm. All right. And so I was glad to see that. With what I just said, what's your take on that? How do you feel about that?
Well, first I'll say thank you for having me again, and always a pleasure to sit down and have a conversation. I will say that I'm not a Trump expert. And you just enlightened me on, which blows my mind to hear that list of things
It's
that
longer. It's longer, I'm telling you.
And that to me it's interesting. I will say that I've been in relationships that have failed, which did allow me to get to a point today where I have a relationship that is more successful than I could have wished for.
Well,
And
I
because
kind
of
of
that,
threw it. I kind of threw those three things in there for humor. That's the reason I'm not a stand-up comic. I just figured I said I'll set it up that way. So I
no,
agree with you.
I appreciate it because it's I think for me, when I look at anyone, we all make steps, and there's nobody walking without saying, "Oh, if I did that again, I might do it differently," which doesn't make it imperfect because it's perfect because you get to where you're going. Yet it does make it, for me, there has to be an accountability,
Right.
or I will continue to do the same thing. So I look at it like that. Like, okay, so you failed at something, which fail, send, miss the mark of what's possible. And that's okay. And it becomes okay only when I'm willing to accept that I've done that. And that's to me, that's where the black eye comes from. Like, you got knocked in the face because it's probably coming back around. Karma is something. And those things, I think, unfortunately, I too am lost at why someone would want to go back in to follow someone that can't even tell blatant truth.
And that's my issue. I would have a lot more respect for the man and the position of that office and for government in general if the truth was part of the conversation. If he had just basically said, even in his personal life, let me take care of this behind the doors. I made a mistake. I had poor judgment and character at that point. That's fine. But when I listen to people saying why they're following him because he's a successful businessman, I'm going, would you loan me $240 million if I had that track record? I'm not saying anything about the color of my skin. I said, would you loan me that amount of money? My father did not bankroll my life. I do not know one successful self-made man that their parents helped make them successful. I can't give him credit. When I look at the fact that I look at the parallels between tyrants throughout our history and what's going on right now is running parallel to some of those conversations that we hate to talk about right now. And it's running parallel. Every deviant that has been able to come out and speak, and some of them wearing double-breasted suits and sitting in high positions are supporting him and pouring money into him, knowing that his character is questionable. But every other candidate is being held to a higher standard than they're holding an individual. And I don't understand it. I don't understand with the people. I'm from Dayton, Ohio, and Ohio is backing this individual. When the individual, and this was what got my crawl, when the individual basically said because he had been indicted and he had a mugshot that he was more in line with people of color. Now, because of that, and the only person was offended by me was me. I don't get it. But we vote for him. We'll sit there and we have to be careful in choosing our words and how we identify an individual, or otherwise we'd be canceled. And this man can say whatever he wants, however he wants to say it, and he's forgiven. When you hear his voice saying that he can put his hand under a woman's skirt and it's his voice, is that your president? I mean, we're all men,
Right,
I
right.
understand that, but we're supposed to be representing a country. We're supposed to be
Well, I
representing
mean,
a people.
I don't think one, I've never heard my son say anything like that. That's not something that's come out of my mouth. Um, and yeah, that's not leadership to me. That's in order to be a leader, you have to be someone worthy to be followed. For me, it starts and ends there. LBC is what I call it. We did as coaches in football, low budget character. And if you have low budget character, we can't win with that person on the football field. And the same goes in life in general. I feel that we as a country, I know when the person we're talking about was president, young boys, young little white boys were doing and being weird in their red hats.
Right.
Like I had to stand in line and say, "Hey, oh no, 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 you're not cutting in front of that little lady right there just because you're in a rush, and you definitely ain't getting in front of me. So you're gonna go back to the back of the line, and this is just how we move. Like, and I promise you, you don't want to challenge that any more than that. End of story. And I said it peacefully, and yet they knew, let's not wake up that sleeping giant. Like that's so for me, LBC, low budget character, when we're impacting the next generations to come, we can't do that. That's not for the betterment of humanity. There's some simple things, and if you can't be that, then for me, I don't need to worry about what you do with any of those things that are on the list, because your character is first and foremost to lead our country forward. And that's just how it shows up for me, because at the end of the day, whether he's a good businessman or not, if his character's solid and he's surrounded by good character, strong people, then we can have all different types of people doing the work if the person's character is solid. To me, that's why someone like the people that we've had in the office before, they had that, even though we have multiple people disagreeing with all of them. Every president's had disagreements about their policies and their thoughts, and yet the country kept going. We have watched our country take dives in ways that, in my opinion, is because of the leadership that was there. Because you shifted, we have 4 years of all the chaos. And I'm not, yes, there were policies that were made that were smart, policies that were made that actually probably weren't on every president. Yet, I feel even in the midst of the racist most parts of leadership in this country, we still kept moving in the right direction. And here we are. And in my opinion, we could move in a negative direction if we went with that type of leadership. And so that's it's simple for me in that sense. All the stuff that are getting a pass right now, or even I'm hopeful that it's not just because he's running for office and has a chance to win, that some of these things have been put in front of him. Yet, if they are real, then nah, that's not leadership for me. I don't want that in front of us. Not for my grandchildren that'll come soon.
There was a comment that was a conversation that was shared with me from another political official that basically said that Trump has to win. And I was surprised by him because he's not a supporter of Donald Trump. And I asked why. He basically said, he says, we need that because we need a civil war. We need the people to go after each other here in this country in order to have peace. He says government needs to be dismantled and restructured in order for us to have a government that returns it back to the people. And I'm going, why do we have to, why does everything have to be satisfied by war? Why is that the stimulus? Why can't we have peace? And I know when you first came out and said that you wanted to run, I just said this country is not ready for peace. But I also do know that my faith in our United States government is hanging on a thread on both sides, on all sides. You know, I don't understand why our vice president going through all of this is silent. I don't understand why the Democratic Party only has 2 representatives. I don't understand that the 2 best candidates for the Republican Party are not the best candidates for the Republican Party because they both shown their colors when pressured in public. I don't get it. When the government itself was designed not to have successful business people run the country, but for people that love their country and want to serve the people. I am totally confused. I'm heartbroken right now to see what was going on.
Yeah, I mean, I will say that we have people in this country. I just met with this guy yesterday, and who has worked all over this world, served in the Vietnam War, and still smart as a tack, brains on point. And we have people that he's a mentor to a lot of people. We have people that are better than what we're allowing to lead us. We just have to call them forward. And that looks like, to me, that looks like the people looking for and elevating somebody. Just lift them up, you know, whoever that may be. I will say, because there's a rumor, there's a rumor that a former president's wife could step into it. And I feel like people would ignite because of that, because of her integrity as a human being. That's huge. That's what it's about to me. Who is living what they say? I know that I do that. Like I live peace every day. I talk it, I walk it. Any way that I can see it, that I can shift it into the world, I do it, because it's like, that's what I want for the world. And when we people want something in the office, and I get it. I get why people would actually say they want Donald Trump, because we have a money hungry society right now. And
You're
that's
kidding. Are you for real? I didn't know we lived in a capitalistic society. I didn't know we were money hungry. I thought we were a kind, caring, loving nation. It's the reason why everyone's crossing the border trying to get here.
Man, no, they're coming because they think they can come make money and send it back home and take care of the things that aren't taken care of in their home. We used to have this thing that, and I talked about it earlier today. When I was coaching football, we would bus in kids from juvenile detention center and put them through camp. And it was, I'm telling you, it was the hardest camp. And I just worked camp with these little kids trying to help Liz in their school. It was the hardest camp because they were in the system. They were in the system as juvenile delinquents that were bad and no one really wanted to be around. But we knew either we take care of them and help them, or they're going to be the ones holding us up at the ATM. And I feel that's the same. You know, people are trying to get here because they think, oh, if I get in America, my life will be different. Well, first we got to take care of home so that it actually is an example of what life could be like. And then we can take care of helping other people create the space that allows it to be worth staying. Like we want to put up walls where the walls don't work. They are shipping people around the wall in California, right? So build a bigger wall. Where you going to put it in the ocean? Like you're going to build out of the ocean? That's not going to happen. So people could always go around it, or they can get an airplane and fly over it. There's many ways that people would still get in here. Now, if we'll use Gaza, because everybody's talking about Gaza right now. We'll use Gaza as the example. If Gaza was taking care of the people, why would they still be fighting? I used to bring it up to people and say, look, we just need to stop needless killing. And people will be like, no, 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 no. Well, today when I watched the airdrops of food, the beach is as pretty as the beach out here. A beach is a beach is a beach. The difference is we didn't have people running, having airdrop food or whatever. And I wonder, when it's all said and done, who's going to be building it up? Who's going to be making the money from that oceanfront property? Same thing they did in Hawaii, in my opinion. You know, that same possibility is there. So with that being said, we have to take care of people. And the person that you started this conversation with, in my opinion, it's not about taking care of people. It's about, hold up, I'm going to sell you some shoes that don't even compare to Air Jordans, but I'm going to sell you some shoes to take care of what? Not going to be taking care of people that need food on the street. So what's he taking care of? Why? Why would someone go into that at this point? To me, being president, and I'm here to say, hey, find someone better, vote for them, get them, elevate them, push them into it. Honestly, I do feel there is someone more equipped at this point in time. I'm not saying tomorrow, because I don't know what tomorrow may bring, but at this point in time, I would love for Michelle Obama to run for president. I really would, because I feel like she's set back. She's had a bird's eye view for real at this is how it should be. She is the reason I got to teach yoga at the White House. Like, so I definitely say, hey, and because I'm a person of service, which is what the position is supposed to be about, serving all of the people here and then going beyond our borders if you can. Because I am that person of service, I'm willing to say, I put my life on hold and I'll go be of service. If you call me forward like that, I will. Like that, I know that's who I am. And I haven't heard that from anyone in a long time.
I would love the fact that goes beyond just being a rumor. I would love the fact, because that would ignite a nation and would supply hope. It would give a clear voice to the people of someone that actually cares about the American people. She proved that as she served our country as First Lady. She has proven that outside of the office of the White House as Michelle Obama, former First Lady of the United States. That would be a blessing. That would be a blessing. But we're talking on this episode because I'm supporting you. Until that reality, I would throw in my hat as well as to support with you to support Miss Obama. But I also know that if you do not do anything to change history, history will repeat itself. And the demise of every single country around this world that thought that war would be the answer. You know, we look at it at Russia and Ukraine. A lot of lost talent, has been taken away from us prematurely. And that will be the same thing if we continue. During the resurrection of January 6th, we lost lives. Individuals that didn't come home that day that should have come home because of that. And no one's talking about the loss of those people. Even though the numbers were small, that's still someone's father that didn't come home. He is the people. We need a president that's about more than commerce. It's about bringing balance and harmony and unity to our country and to the world. And that's the reason why I'm a believer now, which I wasn't. I'll be the first person to say it because I said, I don't think America wants peace, but I keep hearing it over and over in these backroom conversations. And that's the reason why I'm bringing it out front with you right now. I agree with you. I think peace does have a chance, but we do need a voice. I'm going to continue to do different episodes of listening to your conversation and talk about some of these points. You know, I was just at a podcast conference and they were talking about the value of podcasters. We can report the conversations that the people want to hear. Our media is being strong armed by people that are slanted towards reporting to a benefactor that's not exactly for the people. So you and I get a chance to talk, you know, and have open conversations as if you and I were sitting in the backyard talking with a group of friends. And hopefully our listeners will understand this is open and honest conversation. It's not a bias against race or economics, whatever. We're talking about bringing a country back together, you know, and I don't think that America needs to be great again. We just need to be a better version of what America stands for. All right.
Yeah, I mean,
That's just
I
my take.
100 on that. Uh, make America great again. That's all relative. I'm not even going to touch that because it's actually, I am lost because in one sense, that I have friends that back that, and I get their frustrations with what has been is in many ways about our country. And it's like, all right, yet I'm not sure that for me, that's not the answer. Just no way that, and I get called many things, many thoughts of, oh, you're just being dumb. You're this. No, I'm not actually. You have not shown me anything that says, as an intelligent person who thinks for myself, that I would ever make that vote. And so I am staying open to the calling to continue to move this thing forward. Over time, it will be it for me. I keep getting pulled and stepped in that direction, period. People call me and say, hey, I need you to meet this person. Next thing you know, we're talking about it. And I wasn't anticipating talking about it. I've moved in and I keep that open because I trust that the creator is going to put me exactly where I need to be. And it does seem like that to me. Now, do we have to go through a time still? That's what I'm waiting to see. Do we need to? Often when I'm working with people, I talk about, okay, you've actually hit spiritual bankruptcy. That's why you're ready for something new. Have we fallen far enough spiritually to say, okay, we need to do something in pieces away? We have to look at that, you know. And so I know, in my opinion, we are getting there. Do we have to make one more move that way? I hope not. I'm hopeful that there's enough people who are intelligent enough, who care enough about other people, that at the end of the day will either write in the right person or click the mark that needs to be and continue to move our country forward. Because otherwise, in my opinion, when someone wants to tell you that you have to do it a certain way, that's the real form of communism, dictatorship. Because otherwise, we're taking a vote. We're open to having conversations. As soon as someone says it's going to be my way, well, that's not democracy. It isn't. By definition, that is a dictatorship. And no, I don't, that's not where I want to be at all. It's never been part of my journey, so I'm not trying to make it now. No, 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 no.
And I do agree with you. I do think we're at a point emotionally, we're bankrupt, and that's the reason why we're grabbing for straws. And that's the reason why I think we're pulling out the shortest straws in order to represent our country. And ladies and gentlemen, we're sitting down with presidential candidate Sid McNary. He is the best-selling author of Search for the Perfect Wave. Again, a father, a husband, and he wants to be president of these United States. I know I came across kind of strong because I was feeling a certain type of way, which is the reason why, I called you and said, let's do this thing again because I needed to calm down because I kept shaking my head. I kept shaking. I am worried. I am concerned. You know, I love this country, even though I questioned the third and fourth version of our national anthem. I realized that it was written not to include me, but it was written and it's part of what we are, the stars and stripes um, that represent, the 13 colonies. I am now part of that. I can't rewrite history. I can't condemn people for history that they weren't part of, but I can go ahead and be part of the history that's about to be made, which is the reason why we're telling your story, which is the reason why we're talking about peace. I need you to show me how to be peaceful. All right. I think I'm a
Yeah.
good person. I'm not 100%. You know, I failed a couple times, not as much in business as some other people, but I failed, but I keep trying. Part of my life is failure is part of, life experiences. You learn. I've never costed any of my bank holders that much money, um, but when I look at the things that are in question in this world, I care about, equality, education. I care about the fact that we're struggling, especially with men with mental health. I don't think war is the answer. I would love for our government, with someone like you, to say we have a strong government, a peaceful government, and we don't have to blow up someone in order for them to bend our way. We're one of the richest countries in the world, but we're starving for love and affection. We're starving for peace. We're still dividing people, but in conversations, we're trying to make whole based on a conversation of saying we're going to make something great that's already been great. There's no place better than the United States of America. Sid, I thank you for taking time. I know this was the last minute of me asking you to do this. I appreciate you on much different levels. I have the ultimate respect. I hope that our listeners around the world listen to your conversations. I hope they tune in on your social media. I'm going to ask you how people get in touch with you to listen, to be part of your world, and how can they contribute to your candidacy. So with that said, how do we reach you?
Well, anyone can go to sidmcnary.com. That's my website, and learn more about me and what I'm up to and how they can get involved. And then Sid McNary on all social media platforms. My full name, Sidney McNary III. And, that's the best way to get a hold of me. Sid McNary on everything that's out there, because I really echoed through all of it because I want to make sure that people are able to hear. I mean, it's hear the message that's different. And when I look at that, you asked, how can we learn peace? If everyone starts to generously listen to other people, that's the start of it. And as we do that, then we have to actually trust that what someone says is what they mean. Because the person we've been talking about has said a lot of things And it's okay for people to stop trying to make excuses for the things that come straight out of the horse's mouth. And we can move forward from there. So
I think
that's
that's the
it.
truth. I do have to ask one question. I've always wanted to ask this before we end. Um, a lot of these politicians running for um, office that have come and went, that have generated and fundraising millions and millions and millions of dollars. I keep thinking, and I think I've heard you say this, is that for the amount of money people spend for advertising, um, travel, hotel expenses, food, and fancy dinners with uh, people trying to create caucuses to set up for primaries, with the amount of millions of dollars that are spent, that just kind of disappear. Could we change a lot of? I mentioned poverty earlier. Could those millions and millions of dollars and sometimes billions of dollars spent on running for an office of all the candidates, could that be put to better use? I've always wanted to ask that question.
Definitely. I mean, they say that someone wins in 2024, they will have spent $1 billion. That is ludicrous to me. And it's actually shameful that someone would think that they need to go make advertisement to say how bad someone else is in today's world and never actually speak about what they're going to really do, but spend $1 billion infiltrating someone's mind when $1 billion, Gaza looks different. All the inner cities that are struggling in the US look different. We change the world if we just start reallocating where we're putting our intentions and how we can open things up. So yes, I mean, that's part of why I resist going out and pounding the table for dollars, because I want people to just activate and care about one another. And I know that once I was at a guy's house and President Bush landed their helicopter on his lawn. He's the largest landscaping, and when it comes to landscaping, you're talking snow, everything in Kansas City. And so Bush came to ask for money, and they just had dinner in the house. Now, how I don't know how much it costs to land a helicopter there and all that stuff, but they had dinner in the house. So you can do this without exhausting money that could take care of people in real concerns. Just it can be different. And it's up to each of us to say, okay, we have to demand different, and that's I demand differently of myself than that. That's just something how I move, So it's okay that other people move differently. That's just me. So yes, it could be done different.
So we're going to end the show on that note. We can demand different to be different. I want to thank my listeners for tuning in. If you like what you heard, go to RMK Productions and Network on our YouTube page, and please hit the follow or subscribe button. If you like what you've heard, share it, especially for those of us that we're very popular on LinkedIn. I want to thank you for your support and for supporting Sid. And for those of you that are kind of sitting on the fence and have more questions, I want to thank you for at least listening. If you'd like to be a guest on Talking with Kevin and Son or any of my platforms, just go to info@rmkproductions.org. And before I sign off, it's Sid. Is there anything that you would like to say in parting with this interview until the next time?
I like to challenge people often with this: commit to peace and just go do peace for 24 hours. If you make it 24 hours, make it a week. If you make it a week, make it a month. If you make it a month, make it a year, make it a lifetime. If everyone truly committed to peace in the world, we don't have to wait for a new leader. We'd have a different world. So just commit to peace and be willing to walk it in your life where you are. If we all do our part, peace is possible, but it starts with each of us. So thanks a lot. Peace.
I couldn't said it better myself. With that said, my grandfather said, when you get to a point in life you can help someone else out, it is your duty to do so. With that said, he said, reach one, teach one. And with that said, we're out. Fade to black. Thank you, Sid.